have a free medical market here in the United States, think again. Here's the deal. As a licensed naturopathic physician, here's what I had to do to become a naturopath. 4 years pre-med, 4 years naturopathic medical school, 1,000 hours of clinical supervision. I had to pass national boards and state boards, do 25 hours of continuing education credit. In Seattle, Washington, as a licensed naturopathic physician, I can deliver babies, prescribe drugs, order any diagnostic test I want, work in hospitals, legally refer to myself as a physician, and it's all paid for by insurance. If I was to do exactly the same thing in Chicago that I did in Seattle, I'd be thrown in jail for a year and fined $5,000 for practicing medicine without a license, and that's just not right. We do not have a free medical market in the United States. It has been completely monopolized by the MDs for the last 100 years. And you know, you're right that the MDs are really excellent at trauma care and some type of infections. You know, if you have a bullet in your leg, you get your leg blown off in Iraq, you have a nasty pneumonia that botanical medicine couldn't fix, you break your leg skiing, you get somebody T-bones you at the intersection, they are good at that, but that is the only thing that allopathic medicine is good at. The reason that we have a healthcare crisis in this country, the reason that bankruptcy, the leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bills, the reason that our health is getting worse and worse and chronic disease is getting more and more is because MD-directed, allopathic, reductionistic, pharmaceutical medicine for chronic disease does not work. It doesn't work. And Dr. Wallach and I are the only ones standing up on this hill and saying it. Yeah, look, you wouldn't take a Chihuahua duck hunting, right? You need a Labrador retriever for that. You wouldn't take a Chihuahua to find a lost kid in the wilderness. You need a bloodhound for that. Well, taking your body to an MD, bless their hearts, for a chronic illness is a fool's errand.
Well, you know, Dr. Blaylock's a renowned brain surgeon, and he basically says the same thing you're saying, too.
Well, the truth is a funny thing, right? It's hard to suppress the truth.
It is. Stay right there. We're going to come back and get more into this history and now where things are going. They're trying to really take over now. Stay with us. Dr. Peter Glidden is our guest, and I know we've got callers holding from the last hour on other issues, but I think we probably need to, unfortunately, let those callers go and open the phones up so we can take some questions for Dr. Glidden coming up here in this talk we're doing. But continue with the history of this, because now it's out in the open. Bill Gates, who's heavily invested in all this eugenics, the Rockefeller Foundation that he's teamed up with, all of them. He comes out and says, I can play the clip. We've played it probably 30 times. People are like, no, don't play it again. We've heard it. Just type in if you want to see it, folks. Bill Gates endorses death panels. There's a couple clips, but he says, hey, kill grandma. Don't give her care the last year of her life. Just decide she's dead. Kill grandma. And that's a death panel, folks. He says that. And we can hire 10 teachers, and the teachers all start clapping. So this idea that now the government, run by these eugenicists and Big Pharma, now directs through the computer systems in the healthcare what you can be given. And in England, you've got to go to the National Health Service to even get permission from them to go see a private doctor. And Paul Watson, for a month, couldn't even get in to see him with a chest cold. And, was having to try some natural remedies and things that did help. But now they want to block you being able to get massive dosages of vitamin C or take trace minerals on top of regular minerals. And they say, oh, you need a very small dose. They want us sick. In fact, I've seen those studies, Doc, where the most unhealthy food in America is served in hospitals, and just everything they do is about, well, I mean, take breast cancer. It's race for the cure. Why don't we try to find out why there's almost a 3,000% increase in breast cancer and why the U.S. has the worst level in the world? Well, how about race for the cause, Doc?
Well, that's what we should absolutely 100% do, and you're right on the money here, Alex, because here's the thing. I mean, we are deeply embedded in this matrix, right? Every culture has a myth, and it's built into the fabric of society. Now, years ago, everybody was convinced that the Earth was flat, right, and everybody was wrong. After that, everybody was convinced the Earth was at the center of the solar system, and, everybody was wrong. The prevailing myth that we have right now, and it is a deeply embedded myth in this culture, is that MD-directed medicine equals medicine, and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack. It's just not true. The type of medicine that the MDs are trained in is one particular philosophy, one particular subset, aspect of medicine in general. And it is horrible. It delivers horrible results for chronic illness. I'll give you a perfect example. My colleague, Dr. Wallach, sued the FDA 8 times. He had to sue the FDA in order to secure something called a certified health claim. We had to sue the Food and Drug Administration so I can say what I'm about to say legally without being thrown in jail. You ready? 200 micrograms of selenium. 200 micrograms, it's a teeny-weeny amount of the mineral selenium, reduces the occurrence of breast cancer 82%. Reduces the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. It reduces the occurrence of colon cancer, it reduces the occurrence of lung cancer, and it reduces the occurrence of colorectal cancer as well. Selenium, a simple mineral supplement, 82%. Why aren't the Susan G. Komen women marching for that? Because they don't know it. Why don't they know it? Because medicine in the United States is completely controlled by the MDs. The MDs are completely controlled by the pharmaceutical company, and nobody knows that there do, in fact, exist science-based, clinically verified alternatives for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, arthritis.
You know, Dr. Glidden, let me stop you. Let me stop because we're going to come back from break and get into that. And every time I've had you, folks on from Youngevity, people like Dr. Wallach on, I forget, and he never toots his horn, that he's beaten the government all these times, one of the only people, because he can really prove it. That is so amazing, and that they do know all of this. The system knows. They know Prozac's going to make a lot of people commit suicide. They know aspartame eats holes in your brains. They know all this. This is cold-blooded.
That's correct. It's 100% cold-blooded, and one of the worst things anybody can do with a chronic health condition is visit an MD. It is one of the worst things that you can do. That's why my radio show on the GCN network is called Fire Your MD Now.
Well, very well said, and I'm glad that you're out there speaking out and exposing these people. I want to get into the 8 times you guys have sued the FDA and all the times you've won and each point you sued on. Let's get into that when we come back, because I've got to get Wallach back on. He hadn't been on like a year, and point out that, wow, he never even toots his horn that he's done that with your help and others, because this is being proven. And that's why they're so desperate to suppress the type of information that we break down at InfoWarsTeam.com. So we'll talk about the fact that so many illnesses are chronic lack of key nutrients, and the system knows this. That's why they try to feed you pure crud.
We're on the march. The empire's on.
We are back live, the first of many interviews with Dr. Glidden. And we've got folks calling in like Marshall in Oklahoma, listening on XM channel 166. But I want to get to your calls. I want to cover some more of this ground. Listen, I had tried vitamins, minerals. I had exercised. I'd tried to starve myself. And because for 6, 7, 8 years, I didn't work out and gained like 50, 60 pounds, I could not get it off, and my stomach would hurt. I would be so hungry, and I could just pig out, and it just would not satisfy me. Now I can eat about half of what I used to eat. I've lost over 40 pounds, and I mean, I had a chicken fried steak 2 nights ago, and I'm still losing weight. It slowed down, but you could see the transformation. And now if I just diet a little bit, I know it's all going to fall off, so I'm about to go into that phase. But this has been done without dieting. I just have not been hungry with Beyond Tangy Tangerine, available at InfoWarsTeam.com, that, of course, Dr. Glidden and Dr. Wallach endorse and are part of Youngevity. You can get free shipping at InfoWarsTeam.com and a bunch of other discounts when you sign up to be a distributor. But my point is, anything I promote, it's because I believe in it. I use it. And I've tried it all. My wife's a lot healthier than I am. She gets some stuff that's good at Whole Foods. But everybody I know, including my wife, my dad, who's a dentist, kind of looked at it with a little bit of a jaundiced eye at first. He's sold. My mother, who's a triathlete, is completely sold. Because they were immediately like, well, let us have some of that. Well, my mom was, because she knows I only talk about what I believe in, and she saw me start losing weight. She's lost weight massively. She was never that big. She's swimming and running and bike riding faster. She says it's like she's 40 again. She's 60-something. In fact, she is pretty much reclusive when it comes to media. She wants to do a testimonial. The guy that we use as a handyman listens to the show and got some and has lost 30-something pounds in a month and a half. And it's like, this is magic. It's not magic. Even the mainline minerals don't give you all the minerals and trace elements you need. This does. Beyond Tangy Tangerine, available at InfoWarsTeam.com. And I didn't get Dr. Glidden on to plug, but it's a catch-22. He starts talking about what is amazing in their lawsuits, and I forget they've done this in one. This is a big secret, and it does support our broadcast and what we do, but, I mean, all over the years, I've turned down hundreds of sponsors. I just turned down one last week for an incredible amount of money that would have really helped our operation. But I said, well, I don't have a year to test this out and see if it's all true and the language is, and I said, sorry, I'm not going to endorse your product. I saw Aaron Dykes lose. Now I'm starting to rant. I've got to go back to our guest. What's the point of having him and to the calls? I saw Aaron Dykes. Well, you've seen it. Aaron is embarrassed to say, last time he was on 3 weeks ago, it was 89 pounds. It's now 92 pounds. And he just looks healthier and better by the minute. I can't. And hey, he did it listening to the folks from Youngevity. He did it, and it is incredible. And he would starve himself. He'd go out and run at lunch. He would do all this. He would sit there and fight for years. And then he got on minerals and vitamins and whey also, and just all the great products that are at InfoWarsTeam.com. Listen, Ted Anderson a year ago said, look, you're already starting to promote this, you think it's good, but you've got to do it. He goes, I was going to have surgery on my knee. And he got on the Osteo FX. It's in the Alex Pack, discounted at InfoWarsTeam.com. Again, the lowest prices are there at InfoWarsTeam.com, and you support us. And then his dad, and Ted lets me tell this story. It's very sad. I actually feel bad telling it. His dad has Alzheimer's. They go fishing, hunting. He couldn't really go fishing anymore because he didn't really know who he was. 6 months on Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the essential fatty acid complex that they've come up with that's available at InfoWarsTeam.com. His dad was able to fish, knew who he was. It was miraculous. They tested his blood. The medical doctor said, you're not allowed to have greens. Are you eating greens? And he said, yeah, that and Beyond Tangy Tangerine pollen burst and stuff. And he said, nope. He never had a stroke, never had a heart problem. It's just they don't want him to have one. He's on Coumadin. They said, you're not allowed to have the vitamin K that's in the pollen burst and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and all of it. The pollen burst is just awesome with the vitamin B, the antioxidants, the anti-aging, the increased energy, reduces oxidative damage and stress. This is my second favorite, available at InfoWarsTeam.com. And guess what? The medical doctor's God, so he went off of it, and his dad faded away in a few months. And it's just... we literally sacrifice our children to the vaccines. We sacrifice our parents to the medical doctors. Dr. Glidden, I mean, this is a cult we're fighting. I mean, he was back, and the medical doctor said, no, you don't get to take that super mineral vitamin complex.
Oh, welcome to my world. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and it is absolutely positively true. MD in the United States stands for medical deity. I swear to God, an MD could put a white coat on, strap a stethoscope around his neck, tell someone to jump off the roof of the hospital, and they'd do it. This is how far down the rabbit hole we have gone in our unquestioning genuflection at the altar of MD-directed medicine. We need to snap out of it. We need to stop it, because there exists right now, today, science-based, clinically verified alternatives to drugs and surgery for all chronic health conditions. And this weight loss is awesome, but I tell you, Alex, it's the tip of the iceberg. And you know what? Last year we spent $70 billion with a B dollars on vitamins in this country, and everybody is still sick. Why is that? Because when it comes to vitamins, the recipe is everything. Vitamins are like, wine. They're all made from grapes. But there's a great deal of difference between Annie Boone Springs green apple wine and a nice Sonoma Cabernet, for goodness sake. I've been practicing naturopathic